Bam. How are you? It's a Thursday afternoon in St. Louis, Missouri, 4:00 p.m. Thought that'd be something to say. Man, I thought that I was in the studio in the background, and I thought that it was going to start. It said a minute and 28 seconds. So I went online. I was looking at something, and by the time I got back, I guess time had run out, and so I had nothing. I don't know how to explain. Like, things haven't gone well for me in a while, and so I have to come to this stream with like kind of a fake happiness. But there's a happiness deep inside. It's getting crushed by just so many things that are happening. Mortgage rates, not a great situation. The real estate business for me, not a great situation right now. I mean, I write offers and offers don't get accepted. And so every weekend I do the same thing. It hurts the wallet because I can't get anything done. Like, I work a long time for nothing. And it's hard. And it does take a toll on a family. There's no question. I'm not in a good mood most of the time now. What I want to explain to you is, like, I see this as a slow moving train wreck in housing. And you can say, we can look at many sources that say the housing market is just fine. Everything's just fine. There's no problems at all. You don't understand, John. There's so much demand for housing that it doesn't matter what price the house is. Like, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what people are offering, and it doesn't matter what the rates are going to be, because people are just going to buy houses. That's all they're going to do. If there's a downturn, maybe you don't sell it for $20,000 over asking, maybe only $10,000 over asking. But John, you don't need to be worried at all. You shouldn't be worried at all. You should just be going out there and dutifully writing offers that are $50,000 and $60,000 over asking on every single house. Don't worry about what the comps come up with, because that doesn't matter. Because demand, John, you see demographics, demand is what's going to take this market to new heights. And even though we're in a ridiculously hot market right now, it's just going to get hotter. It's just going to get better. And it's very odd. I don't know if you guys are on Twitter. I don't know if you see it, but I'll see people write like, "Hey, man, maybe something's going on with the housing market," and underneath that, in the comments, there'll be like 30 people that are like, "Well, haha, you don't know what you're talking about. The market's just fine. It's actually wonderful." And I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I know that my business is being crushed by not being able to write offers that people will accept. And the problem that I'm having is I don't want to tell my buyers, "Hey, you should spend $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 over asking, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 over what any comp says in the neighborhood." It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me. And it's strange. And so I find myself in this position of watching basically my business burn and not having anything really to do about it. You say, well, if you had listings, you'd be thrilled. I agree. If I had listings, I'd be thrilled, but I don't have a lot of listings. And so I'm just getting crushed. And it's like a slow motion. Like, it just, every day, it's just like the noose tightens around my neck every day. And my family says, "Hey, why aren't you in a good mood today?" It's like, because I'm getting slowly strangled day after day after day after day. And so it's like, well, what do you do about it? Well, what should you do? And everyone says, well, you should quit. Just quit. Go work somewhere else. Like, just drop everything. I know you've got 10 years in this. That's okay. Just quit. And it's like, I don't want to quit. I don't feel like I'm steering this ship. I have buyers. I have people that would sell if I could get a house under contract. But every day is just a grind. So that's where I'm at. Now, maybe, what do you think? I struggle with these things, and we might as well talk about them because, why not? How many people out there think that their job is recession proof? And I ask that because during the coronavirus, during the pandemic, the height of the pandemic, at least the height of the response to the pandemic, we would go in, and whenever I was listing something, or whenever we were at the closing table, there would often be, for buyers, there would be disclosures that had to be filled out that said, somebody might lose their job. This is, you're verifying that you haven't lost your job in the past, month, and all this stuff. And, to me, the restaurants, the small business, the restaurant owners, the independents, they got crushed during the coronavirus. I mean, just crushed. So there were other people that I think fared just as bad, but I really think restaurants were the ones that really, really got kicked pretty hard. And, I look at it this way. The inflation that we have, which I've warned about for months, and I warn about it, but it doesn't get picked up because, again, I'm a small YouTuber and a small real estate broker. I've got a micro business. It's very small. And, I think I might be more responsive to the inflation, because it's like, I can't, like, when I drive places, we're at $4 and what, 80 cents for gas here in St. Louis. God only knows where you're at. If you're an agent somewhere else in the country, food prices go up. Travel goes up. Everything goes up, but my business is going down or staying the same. This is a terrible, terrible situation for me. Just could not be more difficult to go through this. I'll get through it. How will I get through it? You just got to keep going. It's not great. The thing I'm running into is, even my buyers that need to buy, they may be leasing something right now, and the landlords have said, hey, the rates are going up. Your rents are going up as soon as you re-up with us. And they're like, okay, it's better than buying a house. There may be a structural deficiency now. We may never see prices go down. They may stay where they're at. They're kind of sticky. Remember, that was what my economics teacher taught me long ago, is he's like, look at gas. You notice how it goes up very quick, but it's slow, maybe sticky to go back down. Certainly with the houses, it went up really, really quick, but are they really going to go down? I don't know. And they're not going to go down to zero. So you say, well, John, what are you telling your buyers? I said, go buy. If you need to buy a house, buy a house. Well, what if you're overpaying? What if the prices go down? Well, why are you buying the house in the first place? Are you buying this thing as an investment? If you're buying it as an investment, that's a different issue. Are you buying it to live in over X amount of years? Buy the house. You say, what if the market goes down and we never can buy the house or sell the house? It's a risk. What do you do every day that isn't a risk? When you walk outside, okay, you're encountering risk. So, let's not be naive here. There's a risk to buying a house always. Working with a good real estate agent should help you eliminate some of that risk. A good real estate agent. And that means things like we should have inspections for properties. We should have some sort of comparable sale method. We should have some sort of appraisal method. We're throwing all those things out the window right now. And it's like, not great. I don't know. I'm frustrated. I'm beyond frustrated, because if the market tanked tomorrow, that'd be one thing, but this slow, constant strangling is just difficult to deal with on a daily basis. It's really, really hard. And I don't want you to feel sorry for me. That's not why I'm telling you. I want to tell you honestly what's going on in my business. Now, other people, other agents, other brokerages may be doing really well. I don't know because I see Compass drop 10% of its workforce. Everyone loves Compass. The Wall Street loves them. They became the biggest brokerage by volume in the country in what, 10 years? So everyone loves them. Redfin's discount brokerage, everyone loves them. Less money. They took out 8% their employment yesterday, but they're, they've never, neither one of those have ever made a profit. And here I am stuck having to make a profit to survive. I have to make a profit or I cannot stay in business. It's really tough. It's really tough to compete against brokerages like that. But we do. You say, John, what could you do if you weren't a real estate agent? I could do a lot of things, but I'd have to be hired. And I think that hiring process, that's another thing. It's like, even if you did quit, what are you doing tomorrow? Do you really think that employment's going to stay solid and strong when this inflation kind of manifests itself? If you're a truck driver and you're paying $5.50 or $5.50 per gallon, how long are you going to keep that up? What happens when it goes to 6, 7? You're going to stay driving? If you are, you're not going to ask for a rate increase? I mean, Verizon telephone service, okay? Verizon telephone, they should not be impacted in any way by fuel prices. Said that they've been impacted by operational expenses, and they're now going to charge me $6 more per month on my bill starting in July. Actually, they said starting no later than July. $6 a month. Now, that's just for me. Can you imagine how many $6 per month they're adding across the United States? That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. They're fixing their inflation problem. And so, I mean, what would you do if you were me? If you saw that your business is going to take a hit, what would you do? And the weird thing is my business has been taking a hit for the last year. And it's because of the market. It's so damn locked up for me. I cannot get something closed. I mean, I have, but it's not easy, and it doesn't happen very often. It just has to be the right situation. Unfortunately, I keep not finding the right situation. So it's just beyond frustrating. It's beyond frustrating. I don't know. I don't think I'm really venting to you. I'm just telling you how it is for me. I don't think I'm venting. I just don't know. I just don't know. So what am I saying? If I had a listing right now, I would say, look, I mean, rates are just climbing. If you thought your house was worth $400,000 and we want to list it for $400,000, so be it. I don't know how many more weeks we have of this strong market or months. I don't know. I don't know. So anyway, I got a little zit. I'm sorry. I noticed it. It's red on the screen. Anyway, how are you? I haven't asked. It's 13 minutes and I haven't asked how you're doing. Man, I felt like I had a great live stream yesterday. I felt like we were really getting somewhere. I even saw that I had a viewer or two. It was really good. And then I had to go eat dinner. My wife made dinner and I was an hour and 26 minutes in. I could have gone forever yesterday. It was just rolling. It was just right. And then I had to go eat dinner. So if I get a chance to go look at that one, that'd be great. But I understand. Real estate news, real estate discussion isn't always the most exciting stuff to talk about. So we try to bring it into a live stream setting to make it more interesting. I don't know. You tell me if it's working. I don't have a strong chat. It's one thing I wish I would be able to get over time. It's just, let's chat. Let's have some fun. Let's shake it up. Nothing. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm very, very frustrated. I wake up, I'm frustrated. I go to bed at night, frustrated. I cannot get out of this situation. There's nothing I can do. And I feel like I'm a rat in a cage. Hate it. So I don't know. I just wanted to share that. I don't know if it's going to help anybody else out there. But anyway, let's take a look at my schedule because I don't exactly remember. What I wanted to try to do is show you something on a Adobe PDF file. I don't know how that's going to work. We're going to try. Okay, here we go. So we want to go to there. I'm going to try and do this. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, you can. Okay. Is this better? No, I hate that. That better? I kind of like this better. I don't know. If I clip something for the socials, it doesn't look very good. Let's go here. Oh, that was terrible. Sorry about that. I don't like. I mean, I like that for some things, and I don't like it for others. So here, let's do that. Okay. So do you see this? This is for St. Louis. This is for the St. Louis Association of Realtors. Okay. And what it has here is the housing report from May. Now you say, John, it's June 16th. Why is it taking so long? Well, it takes a while. Like it just takes a while to compile the data. I don't mind. But let's go through this. I don't particularly care about the townhouse and condo market. I don't particularly feel like it's different than the market that I am in anyway. I mean, if we look here, we got down, up, down, up, down, 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 down a little longer. But let's go and go through these numbers on the single family residential. Okay, so the pending sales are down 9.9% from 2021. Some people would look at that and say, oh, the market's doing better because there's fewer sales. They would say that, oh, it's like, how do I say it? The market is kind of regulating itself. But I'm telling you that this is not the case. You say, well, what do you mean? Well, here's what the case is. There's just not that much inventory. So anything that you see, somebody buys because there's like 8 buyers for every one house. Even at these ridiculous mortgage rates, which we're going to get to later. And then, then why do I say that? Why is it my opinion? Well, because your median sales price is up. Your pending sales are not going to be down, and your median sale price is down if you have enough inventory. This can still be down. Okay, we can still have fewer pending sales, but the median sale price is going to have to come down at some point to show that there's some sort of trend in place. It says, in fact, it's up 3.8% from 2021. It may only be 3.8%. It's still ridiculous. Now, closed sales are down. Because inventory is down, and that's why prices are up. Now, the reason why I believe that is because if you look at the month's supply of inventory, it's down to 1.2, okay, which is down 7.7% from 2021. What's happening? Well, the market is frozen, and this is what I keep saying. No one cares what I think, and I understand that. I got to get to there. The market is frozen, and it will not unlock until there's at least enough inventory to meet demand. People that are saying, John, the house market isn't going to go south because there's so much demand can be correct. I'm not ruling it out. Because the inventory is so bad. But it could also be like the demand is being artificially generated because the supply is so small, because the inventory is so little. Anyway, then it says the inventory of homes for sale. This is another indicator to me that there's not enough inventory. It's 2,063 homes, down 18% from 2021. I mean, we're in what would be the best time of the year for me. Normally, this is the time when I'm rocking and rolling. I'm honestly looking at taking a vacation in August. I've got nothing going. I've got a bunch of buyers, but again, it's the same thing every weekend. If they hopefully they don't mind that I'm gone for 2 weeks, that we didn't get to write an offer just for them to be rejected. Average days on market until sale down to 19 days versus 23 days in 2021. So let's just look at this chart. I mean, I'm sorry, it's an infographic or whatever you want to say, but how can you have on this chart every single arrow going down, okay, but the sales price going up? I mean, this is a wacko market. It's been a wacko market for some time. I'm just pointing it out. Don't at me. I don't care if you at me or not. But I mean, it's a weird market. It's very, very strange. And so let's get into the next part of the show today, which would be the news. Here's the news. It says the Fed. Now, this is over Google search. We're going to do like a kind of an exhaustive. I have an idea what we're doing today for the show. I don't know that it's going to work out great, but as you know, I've been doing things a little differently, just kind of shaking things up, because obviously if my show was doing well, there would be more people watching if it was compelling. Right now, it's not compelling enough for people to watch, and therefore I don't have anybody watching it. That's the narrative that I have. This was on Google search trends yesterday. I'm sure you may have heard about it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it says the Fed delivers the biggest interest rate hike in decades to combat surging inflation. Okay. Now you can look back at the record and look, if I know I'm wrong in the future, I will tell you I'm wrong. Okay. But I've been on this inflation thing since at least January. Like, let's get in front of this. I don't want stagflation. Like my own ethos, my own life is I don't want people being hurt. I want the least amount of people being hurt, and I want the most people possible being prosperous. And you can define hurt in many different ways, but economically, I don't agree with the thought that because you're poor, you are a criminal. I don't believe that's true. I don't think it's ever been true. And I don't care what statistics someone throws at me. I think you choose to be a criminal or choose not to be a criminal. And if that were true, as far as money being the reason why you're a criminal or the lack thereof, then why do we see so many executives? Why do we see so many people in management often arrested, or often, they can afford better lawyers, so that the penalties aren't as high, but we do see a high level of crime in white collar businesses. So I've never really drawn a correlation between the two, but inflation is the worst for the people who have the least. If you want to hurt a population, let them deal with inflation and don't do anything about it, or fan the flames of inflation, which I think the Fed and the government has done. The tax credits, the money back, the refunds going into your bank accounts, that money has got a lot more strings than you ever would have realized. And then spending in general. It looks like we're going to put another $1 billion towards Ukraine. You can have whatever feelings you want to about that situation. Just from a pure perspective of, it looks like we're paying off the war machine, the military industrial complex. Tell me that we're not. Tell me that this is a noble goal. I don't know. Stick to real estate, I guess. Anyway, so let's look at the article. This is by NPR. NPR is going to be as friendly as they possibly can to the administration. This is right up their alley. Let's see what they say. It says the Federal Reserve escalated its battle against inflation Wednesday, announcing the largest interest rate hike in 28 years as the central bank struggles to regain control over soaring consumer prices. Now, I was told that through the administration that inflation was transitory. I believe Jerome Powell said that inflation was transitory. He wasn't worried about it. The Fed raised its benchmark interest rate by 0.75 percentage point, the biggest hike since 1994. That follows a 0.25 point increase in March and a 0.5 point jump in May. Until a few days ago, most forecasters were expecting another 0.5 point increase in rates this week, in line with the Fed's earlier guidance, but policymakers opted for a more aggressive move after a report last Friday showed inflation was stronger than expected in May. It's a lot stronger because they aren't even they're not keeping the right data. I mean, it's really bad. The Fed has really put itself into a spot. Okay, how will they get out of it? They've been stimulating the economy for 15 years. How do they back out of this now? It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. And I mean, what are they going to do? Lower rates? The rates were near zero for how long? It's bad. It's bad. Consumer prices were up 8.6% from a year ago. The increase reflects not only rising costs for gasoline and groceries, but also for rent and airfares and a wide range of services. It's bad. It says the bottom line is it seems like inflation is becoming more entrenched. And for many people, I think that was the game changer. Look, it's here. I'm concerned about stagflation myself. Again, not because, I mean, my main concern is people are going to be hurt by this, that don't deserve it. The people that are going to make money and do well off of this definitely don't deserve that success. But the people that are going to eat it really gets to me, because this is a political failure on both sides of the aisle. You cannot have just runaway spending, and Republicans and Democrats are more than happy to continue spending. It's just ridiculous. That's why when everyone talks about, I believe, a red wave in 2022, I don't really care, because you're just going to vote the same kind of people that are always looking to spend, never, ever anything other than spending. They may even talk about that they won't spend, but then they get there and they just do the opposite of what they say they'll do. Fears of a recession grow. By sharply raising interest rates, the Fed hopes to tamp down consumer demand, which has overwhelmed supply, driving prices up. I don't agree with that. Let me say this. The Fed hopes to tamp down consumer demand, which has overwhelmed supply, driving prices up. I don't believe that. I believe that there have been artificially generated bubbles in the way we do business with the rest of the world. And what I mean by that is, let's just take a graphics card, for example. Is demand for the graphics card outstripping supply? Well, a weird thing happened when NVIDIA slowed down their chip manufacturing process because they were concerned about Corona. Well, it raised the prices. It also raised their margins. If you look at automakers, they had to stop production or slow production due to the lack of chips. But what they found was when they limited production, people just wanted to spend more to buy them. It was creating manias. And I don't know what that's called in economics, but that's not what's happening. Consumer demand is not what is causing this. It's the lack of products being produced due to some failures in the economy. This is my opinion. You could say it's not true and you're full of it. And look, I don't know. Maybe I am. But, when you have shortages, that should be your indicator that there's something wrong with the economy. We've had shortages in many different products now for 2 years? It can't all be related to the virus. It can't all be related to the virus. Now, I mean, they're talking about feminine hygiene products are now scarce. I mean, come on. If we've put people on the moon and we can't figure out how to manufacture some of this stuff, hard to believe that economics aren't playing a significant factor. And it may not actually be consumer demand. It may be incompetence. It might be incompetence on the part of corporations. Think about what corporations are for these days. They don't ever talk about the bottom line. They're always talking about some social policy, some social cause. Nike, for example, will never talk about the slave labor they use. They're more than happy to talk about problems with race and very divisive issues. They love to talk about those things. Talk about these things to distract from our real goals as a company. So if the economy is broken, which I think it is, the rising rates aren't going to fix that problem. It says higher rates will make it more expensive to carry a credit card balance, get a car loan, or buy a house. Well, I mean, these things are all in bubble territory. The housing market definitely is. Credit cards, I don't know, but all you're going to see on the credit cards is defaults. I mean, just keep raising it. Keep raising the interest rate and watch what happens. You'll get defaults. Now, is that what you want? And then get a car loan. Well, I mean, cars have gone absolutely through the roof. Used cars, new cars, it's just unbelievable. Just absolute mess. Higher borrowing costs also weigh on economic growth. Stock markets have dropped in recent weeks over fears the Fed's rate action could even tip the economy into a recession. My question to you, and I'm not trying to be defeatist or evil or anything like that, but do you think that the stock market has been trading on fundamentals the last decade? I mean, do you? Well, you say, well, what's it trading on? It trades on stories. It trades on stories, always growth stories. Compass Brokerage is the best brokerage ever. They've come up with new technology. We've had real estate brokerages for 100 years, but only Compass can figure this out. And look at what that story can do. It made them the largest real estate brokerage in terms of volume in the United States, surpassing a company, Reality, which I don't remember what they're called. They just changed their name. Surpassing a company that's been around for 40, 50 years. Stories are what's driving us. And I don't know what's going to happen when the stories become bad. Federal officials on Wednesday projected the economy will grow just 1.7% this year, down from the 2.8% growth rate they were predicting 3 months ago. My question to you, will anyone be fired for the projection being totally wrong? Will there be any accountability for the quote-unquote experts and their forecasts? The answer is no, there won't be. There won't be. No matter how many times you fail in a white-collar job, you get to most of the time fail up, as long as you play your cards right. Growth is likely to slow further in 2023, narrowing the chance of a so-called soft landing in which inflation falls without a recession. If anyone really thought we were going to have a soft landing, they're out of their gourd. These people don't know what they're doing. They have no idea. I mean, do you think Jerome Powell has ever bought? Does he even know what a dozen eggs costs at the store? When do you think the last time is he's been to a grocery store, like, and actually bought stuff? And with his fat wallet, what does he care? It doesn't bother him a bit. These people running the country are disconnected from the rest of us. They have no idea what a typical American deals with every day. They have no idea. I mean, it's unbelievable to me that we keep electing these people that are just clueless. Just clueless. It says, I think best case scenario, you're looking at a landing that might be quite bumpy. You're looking at a period of relatively slow growth next year. Fed policymakers raised their forecast for unemployment next year from 3.5 to 3.9%. Now, full employment in the United States is like between 3 and 5%. Believe it or not, it's not 3 to 5% unemployment. It's not 100%. I don't see how. And that's here, look. Like a policymaker says, well, you know what? We're wrong. It's not 3.5. It's 3.9. It's 0.4. We shouldn't get fired over that. But we're not there yet. We don't know what it's really going to be by the time that happens. It says more rate hikes are coming. Rising prices have been taking a toll on retail sales, which fell 3% or 0.3% in May. Spending on furniture, appliances, and electronics declined last month, while Americans spent more on gasoline and groceries. So, I mean, most families are going to be trading things off. I don't know that we're going to be doing a lot of vacationing. Now, I told you about a vacation. The vacation I'm going on is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I don't care what it costs. I don't care anything. I'm going. It has to be done. It has to be done at a certain time. And this is the time I'm taking to do it. Additional rate hikes are expected in the coming months. On average, Fed policymakers said they expect interest rates to climb around 3.4% by the end of this year, up from 1.9% they were projecting in March. It says, and this is how I want to tie it in with the show today. I just wanted to check if anybody was in the chat, but nobody's in the chat. Anyway, Mortgage rates have risen sharply in anticipation of that, putting homes out of reach for some would-be buyers, for many. The average rate on a 30-year fixed rate or 30-year fixed home loan is near 6%, according to Bankrate, double what it was a year ago. And we're going to talk about that. You just remember the 6% mark in this article. We're going to see some of the highest mortgage rates that we've seen in many, many years, along with the high home prices that have been seen all across the country. This housing affordability question is only going to move from the yellow to the red zone. Sales of existing homes declined in February, March, and April, the most recent period for which data are available. Again, this decline is due, in my belief, due to a lack of inventory. The reason why there's a lack of inventory is because some people are saying, look, I have no ability to buy a better house if I leave the one I'm in. That's where the inflation is the killer. That's what's really happening. The inflation is saying, look, like, let's just do a base example. 2-bedroom, 1-bath home in Athens is $135,000 every day of the week. When I go now to just 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, 1,000 square feet, we're at like 180. Okay. It's like $50,000 difference. Okay. In 2 years. Okay. Like when that person buys that house at $180,000, or they spent $130,000 2 years ago, and now they want to move up, say they want 2 bathrooms, say they want 3 beds. Now we're looking at over 220. Okay. What did I get for the difference? I'll just stay in my house. I don't want to spend that much money. I don't make that kind of money. This is the issue. Sales of existing homes decline. We read that Esther George, the president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City, was the lone dissenter in today's vote. She preferred a smaller rate hike of 0.5%. She should be fired immediately. She won't be. She'll probably be up for a promotion to the head of the Fed at some point in time. And it's just like no accountability. Let me show you the next thing. This is on Deerwood Realty. Thanks to all of you who are concerned about my listings being stuck for about a week. They've come back. It's great. But down here, I do have a mortgage, current interest rates, and we're at 6.05%. That's today. If you walked in, could you get less than 6.05% on a 30-year fix? Yes. Yes, you could. This is an average across the entire United States. But look at the spike. I don't know if you can see this. Like, let me see if, I didn't know. I wanted to double check and make sure I was doing the right thing. But look at this. This was May. I remember this one. This was just a disaster. This crushed everything. And then we've kind of plateaued, and now we've jumped right up again. God knows where the end will be. 6.05, which is higher than 6.03 yesterday. Monday and Tuesday, I think we were like 6.3. It was just out of control. But let's look at this article on CNN. And the reason why I thought this was kind of fun. Okay. It says mortgage rates hit 5.78%, the biggest weekly jump since 1987. I don't believe that, because I just showed you the chart between in a month, between 3.3 and 5. Now it says mortgage rates hit 5.78%. And you say, well, John, you just showed me it was like 6.03%. We're going to get into that. We're going to discuss that. But let me show you on the right-hand side of this screen, this ad. LendingTree, 3.50 rate, 3.65 APR. Look at that. Loan type, 30-year 6, 4.47%. Those aren't real numbers. You're not going in to LendingTree today and getting a quote for 4.47%. This is an advertisement. It's a lie. I'm just saying. Mortgage rates surged by more than 0.5 percentage point this week amid rising inflation and an interest rate hike by the Federal Reserve. According to Freddie Mac, the jump is the largest one-week increase since 1987. That's not good. That's not good. Is it good? I don't think so. Making homes less affordable for people isn't good. It's what we're doing, but it's not good. And you say, well, what do you mean by that? Well, look, it's not just interest rates that causing housing to go crazy. It was kind of like free money for a while. And that free money is never as free as they make it out to be. There's always a cost to be borne by someone, and hopefully it's not you. Anyway, 30-year fixed mortgage rate averaged 5.78% in the week ending June 16th, up from 5.23% the week before. So they're talking about the average mortgage rate over the past week. That's why your numbers are a little bit off. That's why I'm a little bit high. But man, rates have risen more than 2.5 percentage points this year. They were at an average of 2.93% this time last year. These higher rates are results of a shift in expectations about inflation in the course of monetary policy, said Sam Cater, Freddie Mac's chief economist. Higher mortgage rates will lead to moderation from the blistering pace of housing activity that we have experienced coming out of the pandemic, ultimately resulting in a more balanced housing market. Will it? Will it? It'll be more balanced? What if you're wrong? Rates have risen sharply since January, pushing the cost of financing a home up significantly. Buyers are finding homes even less affordable as inflation takes a larger chunk of their income, and the cost of borrowing has reduced their purchasing power. It's like a double whammy. I mean, when you had, if you would just raise the 30-year fixed, okay, and you didn't have fuel inflation, if you didn't have utilities are inflating their prices, if you didn't have food inflation, maybe, but you've got a burning fire of inflation, and you guys are not going to fix it because it would expose so many lies that it's just not. Now, look, I'm a Peter Schiff person. Okay. Look up Peter Schiff. Look up Peter Schiff. Go along with what he's saying. At least read it. See if what he says lines up in any way with what the Fed's doing. Not good. A year ago, buyer put down 20%, and this is fair, on a median priced $390,000 home and financed the rest with a 30-year fixed rate mortgage and an average rate of 2.93, had an average mortgage payment of $1,304, according to numbers for Freddie Mac. Most people don't put down 20%. I'd say maybe 3% of all people put down 20% on their home. Today, a homeowner buying the same priced house with an average rate of 5.78 would pay $1,827 a month in principal and interest. That's $523 more each month, according to the numbers from Freddie Mac. Now, look, that number doesn't include property tax. It doesn't. It for the most part doesn't include property insurance. Both of those are going to skyrocket. You think that the local governments aren't going to seize on the fact that, look at my neighborhood. Used to be if you got to $300,000, that was amazing. Now we're in the 330s, 340s, 350s. Some houses even went for more than that. When they reassess our taxes, we're going to get soaked. That's coming, okay? That's not inflation either. That's not inflation. That's government policy. The average mortgage rate surged higher this week in response to worse than expected inflation data and in anticipation of Federal Reserve rate hikes that came Wednesday. Look, I don't care what the report was. We all knew that inflation was getting out of hand. We've known about it since at least January. Making good on its promise to raise rates in order to stem inflation, the Federal Reserve raised its interest rate target by 75 basis points, the largest increase in nearly 3 decades. Ooh, that'll fix it. And there's no reason to expect the increases will stop there. In comments following the announcement, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell emphasized the Fed's commitment to bringing inflation down to the 2% goal by continuing to raise rates. Look, in 2007, they kept raising rates. People said, don't raise the rates. This isn't going to be a good situation. They raised the rates. Economy went to shit. And what did they do? They lowered the rates. What do you think they're going to do this time? They're going to try the same thing. They're going to raise rates, and then the economy is going to go to shit, and then they're going to lower the rates. And when they do that, it's just building a bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger inflation bubble that we will have to deal with at some point in time in our history. It ain't going away. It ain't going away. So the Federal Reserve does not set the interest rate borrowers pay on mortgage directly. That's true. But its actions influence them. Mortgage rates tend to track 10-year U.S. Treasury bonds, but mortgage rates are indirectly impacted by the Fed's actions on inflation. As investors see or anticipate rate hikes, they often sell government bonds, which sends yields higher, and with it, mortgage rates. There's a correlation, but it's not like perfect. It's not a 1-to-1. It's not like if the Fed raises rates a percentage point, which they've not done, which is 100 basis points, that would mean that a mortgage rate, 30-year fixed, would raise. That's not what happens. The 10-year Treasury climbed to 3.48% on Tuesday, the highest in 11 years, and investors anticipated Wednesday's interest rate hike. Surging rates have the effect of putting the brakes on the housing market, which has been moving full speed ahead for the past 2 years. I would say that the market was hot before. It was going well, and I just feel like they kind of killed it. They killed it when they went to the zero rates. I mean, they just killed it, because that once you made it so that you could afford, like, you have to understand, somebody that was like in a $200,000 house could afford a $500,000 house all of a sudden with the low rates. I mean, you just cost just a mess. A mess. It says climbing mortgage rates continue to put pressure on the housing market, pushing the cost of home ownership ever higher. There has been little relief for American consumers at the grocery store, the pump, and both the for sale and rental markets. That's right. Your whole life is being impacted by inflation in a negative way. And the people that are paid to keep inflation at a 2% per year goal have totally bungled it. And they will not be fired. They will not be replaced. They will continue to get all the benefits. They will be able to teach at Ivy League schools when they're done. It's just sickening. Just sickening. So, to recap, we've got inflation. It's bad. That's number one. Number two, the Fed is they're off their rocker because they don't live like normal Americans. They wouldn't know what a grocery store looked like other than from the outside, and it would likely be a Whole Foods. So these people they're not common people. They're not common folk. They're disconnected from reality. And then they've made themselves even further disconnected because they've changed the way in which they calculate things like the CPI. And they've changed those things so that they can hide and obfuscate the real economy. And you say, well, why would they do such a thing? Because if you knew what terrible things these people are doing and how they're kind of bankrupting us over time, you would be upset. And they don't want you to be upset. They're the quote unquote smartest people in the room. And so they will lie, and they will make up lies, and you will believe them because they're smart in that category. They've been trained well at the Ivy League schools to do that. In my business, let me go here. In my business, let's just talk about where I'm at in the pond. I'm not the biggest fish in the pond. What that means is my business exists only if I help buyers buy homes and help sellers sell theirs. Now, there's a component there of integrity. How much does integrity cost? How much is it worth? My integrity is not for sale. It should be. I'd make a lot more money, but it's not. And so when someone says to me today, if they ask me the question, John, would you buy a house today? I'd have to say, it depends on the circumstances. And you say, well, that's a cop out. No, it's not. God, if you've decided you're going to start your life with someone, maybe buying a house makes perfect sense. If you've got a change in your life, if you're going to have kids, if you want to go into a good school district, if you want to, all these things, if you want to leave your apartment, there's reasons to buy a home at all times. Okay. And then if you ask me, John, should I sell my home today? Well, I would get it out there in the market. I mean, my God, why not? Why would you not? Why would you wait now? If you thought that the prices were going to go down in the future, why would you wait? Just sell. This is me. This is what I would advise my clients. I don't like tomorrow I'm going to show houses. I'm going to write offers, and Monday I'll probably be disappointed by the fact that the offers that I wrote aren't accepted. And the following weekend I'll do the same thing. Now, these offers I'm writing, please understand, they are in line with what's going on in the marketplace. Unfortunately, my buyers can't see themselves paying the top dollar needed to acquire that home. They're not doing inspections. They're not doing X, Y, and Z. No appraisal writer. I mean, they're doing what they have to do. It's just that someone wants the house that much more and has the means to get it. All right. Well, let's change gears. I think I'm going to keep going. Why? Well, why not? Why not? What's this hurting anyone? You say, well, don't you have things to do? I do, but I don't want to do them. I have continuing ed. I don't want to do it. I really don't. I suppose we'll have dinner tonight, but I had such a large lunch. I don't think I'm going to need dinner. We had chivapi at the barracks. And if you look up chivapi, wonderful meal. I highly recommend you trying it at least once in your life. I'm so thankful that I married my wife so that I could find these wonderful foods. I really lucked out there. How am I going to approach this setup? Now, this is something that I like to do. I've always liked to do it. I like when other agents talk. I like when other agents write about how I'm supposed to conduct the real estate business. The reason why I like that is because I've followed other people's opinions, their advice, and it's gotten me to this point where I'm at right now, which is I've got probably 10 buyers and no sellers, and it's a seller's market, and I'm getting hammered. I mean, just to be honest. So I like to go over these things with you and see if you think that they're bonkers. But understand, like let's humanize this process for one moment. The people that are actually writing blogs, the people that are actually creating content, okay, as long as they're a person, maybe they're motivated by a little bit of money, but it's not some Zillow, it's not some Redfin, it's not some huge unwieldy corporation. Okay, I don't. When I look at what they write, it's not. I don't want to criticize it too heavily. It's a lot easier to read someone else's writing than to come up with something original on your own. So please don't think that I'm trying to be critical. In fact, I've corresponded with the lady that I'm going to talk about with this article, and I have no animosity towards her. I just want to go over this because it's funny to me. Taking some of this advice is going to get you absolutely nowhere. And you'd almost always argue the alternative would be true as well. So now that I've given you something to think about, here we go. It says, this is a copy by Marty. She's a wonderful real estate copywriter out of, I think, Idaho, but it could be Montana. It's way out of my space. It says 6 easy ways to lose a listing. Okay. And I'm like, well, that is a great headline. I'd like to know how to lose. I feel like I've learned how to lose listings on my own. So to me, I don't know. I feel like I could write this same article, but it wouldn't be anywhere close to the same. So let's get into it. It says, you've got a hot lead on a listing, but who wants to work? It's more relaxing to hang out in the office complaining you don't make any money. With that in mind, here's 6 easy foolproof ways to make sure you lose a listing. And then in bold, she says, no, I know you don't really want to lose a listing, so do the opposite of what I'm about to tell you. I don't know. It's like we're going to go through it like I would go through it, and so that you can get some insight. Okay. It says, first, show up late. So it says, keep those people waiting for at least 20 minutes. That will show them that you're the one in control. You're a busy in-demand agent who is being kind enough to make a little time for them, and your time is more important from theirs, so they should have to wait for you. This is an extremely effective way to lose a listing. Well, funny enough, for me, I don't often go on a single listing appointment. You say, well, what does that mean? Well, I'm not sure I want to work with my sellers when I first meet them. Maybe my seller is not somebody I want to talk to. Maybe my seller wants to list their house at a ridiculous price and doesn't want me to make any money at all. Like maybe they want me to do it for free. I want to know that ahead of time. I want to know that. I don't want to judge your character so much as I just don't want to work with people that take away my zest for life. Okay. So on our first appointment, first of all, one of the biggest fallacies, I think, like you're going to have me come over to your house and tell you what your house is worth. Okay. We don't know anything about the house. We don't know when it's going to be listing. I've never seen the inside of the house. And yet we're going to come up with a number today. We're going to come up with a strategy today. And you're going to make a decision today whether or not I'm going to list your property. I don't know. It seems suspect. it doesn't seem like that's the way it's going to be. So as far as showing up late, I don't like to show up late to listing appointments. I wouldn't try to ever. If something came up, I would call in advance and say, but I've had many listings where the people that are there, they're like, we're going to be here for a couple hours. Just come over when you have the time. I don't know when that time is. I'll just come over. I mean, so that first part, you want to set a good impression for yourself. Showing up late isn't the way to do it. I get that. It says, second, if you're determined to lose the listing, ignore the sellers when they talk. This does happen. Okay. If I've left a listing appointment and I've been the one that's done the most talking, I feel like I've probably lost the listing. You say, well, that's kind of crazy. You know what? It's true for me. Okay. But there's other agents that are, they will just grab that seller, and they'll sink their hooks right into them, and they will what I would call like bulldog their way into that listing. They will not let that person out of the room until they get the listing. That's not who I am. And so we'll talk, and I like to talk about everything. I mean, it seems so odd. Have you been on a listing appointment? Do you know what one is like? I'll tell you what it's like. Normally you walk up and they're like, well, what do you think my house is? We want to sell our house tomorrow. What do you think it's worth? And it's like, I don't know. Can you show me some of the house so we can at least get some idea what we're working with? And then it's like, oh, well, sure. And then we walk around and then we sit and talk for a while. That's kind of how it goes. I think it's fair in this day and age to want to know about who's selling your home. On a personal level, like, you should be able to know enough about me to where you'd be comfortable working with me. This is different than, what do I want to say? This is different than saying I must have these attributes that are not changeable, that I'm going to choose. That's how I'm going to choose. So like skin color, right? We can't be thinking like, I'm only going to hire this person if they're this skin color. Like, that's not a good way to pick a listing agent, right? Or a buyer's agent. Like, no one can, I mean, you really can't change your skin color. So this is what I would say on that. It's like, look, if someone had that type of criteria, I'm not their person. Because I think that we're more than our skin color. That used to not be very controversial. I think it probably is pretty controversial now. It shouldn't be, but whatever. It's America. So I definitely agree, though. If I'm speaking the whole time, if I'm carrying the conversation, if the sellers, now look, sellers will lie to you. And it's not really intentional so much. It's what I would say is aspirational. So if you're in a listing appointment, the seller says, hey, I'm going to list this house in a month, and how much is it going to be? How much is it going to go for? You can tell them what you think it'll go for if they do X, Y, and Z, or as it sits. But what'll end up happening is they'll do nothing to the house, and then 1 month later list it for the price that you said they could probably get if they did like all this work. I don't know. It's weird. Plus, like, I'll just go over real quick. I was at a listing appointment. I got a call. The lady's like, I'm from Oregon. I'm here for today. Please come over. She had 5 brothers, and I met like 3 of them along with her. So I wasn't getting the listing. I knew I wasn't getting the listing, but the thing that got me is they said, we had an appraiser come in and tell us how much the house is worth. And I said, oh, that's great. Well, let me know what they think on Monday when are they getting back to you? And they're like, oh, they should be getting back with us on Monday or Tuesday. I said, well, great. On Monday or Tuesday, give me a call and let me know what they say. Well, why did I do that? Well, I knew for a fact they were lying to me. They'd called 3 other agents because that's what you're told to do. And they decided that they were going to pick an agent based on what the agent said. But they were a little more nefarious than that. They actually had a good idea who they were going to choose as their agent. They just wanted 2 other agents to back up the price that the first agent said. And I'm just not interested in doing that for free. I mean, if I smell a situation where I'm not going to win, I'm not going to play. And I didn't get the listing, but I wasn't going to get the listing anyway. There was never going to be an opportunity for me to get that listing. says number 3, grab the easiest comp for your market analysis, even if they're a year old. Look, there's this whole issue about buying the listing. Okay. The whole issue about, did you buy the listing? I don't have any interest in buying a listing. I just like to say, here's what the comps are. Where do you want to be? And then if they say something really high, I tend to say, well, hey, let's look at a house right now currently for sale at this price level and tell me if you think your house is really worth that. Very seldom does that ever change someone's mind, which is kind of funny. And the other issue you have is, why am I arguing with the seller over their price that they want? Like, why would you start a conflict with the person that's hiring you? Like, your base, if they say the house is worth $400,000 and you say it's worth $350,000, you're basically just fighting with your seller, like, to start. That's not a good way to do a business deal. It's not going to go well. Number 4, should your listing prospects wish to discuss your commission, refuse. That's a funny one. When you work for a large brokerage, they really do have locked in commissions. There's no question. Am I more flexible? Yes. But even then, I can only be so flexible given a certain amount of criteria. And I don't mind talking about it. But I mean, the situation I'm in, taking $0 doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense for me. Number 5, communicate your way. If it's not their preference, you'll be sure to lose the listing. This is a very interesting way to write it. I will tell the seller what I'm thinking. I will tell the seller everything about what I would do for the listing. For instance, I will say, hey, I will have professional photographers take pictures. I will have a online walkthrough, a 3D virtual tour, and I will have a floor plan in the listing that prospective buyers can look up. This is not up for debate. Like, this is what I will do. If they say, well, we don't want a floor plan, then I'll say, okay. But this is a whole lot different than, like, why else would you hire an agent if they don't tell you what they're bringing to the table? It just doesn't make any sense to me. It says, and lastly, if you want to lose a listing, assume that you already have it. Let me tell you about that. That's 100% right. And that is spoken by someone who has been in the real estate business. I can't tell you, both from the buyer side and the seller side, how many checks I believed I'm getting. In fact, I'm looking at my wall. My gross commission income is over 6 figures for this year on the board. And I can tell you I'm very, very far off of that number. Okay. You don't make the money until you cash the check. I had a listing one time where, the guy said, do you want me to sign today? I said, no. I said, if you're going to, not use me, why should we fight about, whether or not you wrote the paperwork or not? I said, when the time is right, when you're ready to list the property, we'll sign our listing agreement then. Like 3 weeks later, I see the house online and it's listed with someone else. What are you going to do, right? What are you going to do? And it says, so when it says, when you not want a listing, it says show up on time. So yeah, it says looking calm, cool, and collected and having done your research about the house. Gosh, I used to believe that, like, if you were the most professional person, you would get the deal. But long ago, I learned that you've got to be likable. It's got nothing to do with your expertise. You literally have to be likable. Now you may say, well, John, that's why your podcast, or that's why your live stream has no subscribers. That's not true. I have 14. But you can say, like, you're not likable. Well, God, what do you do about being likable? It's tough. It's tough. But sitting there, you're not going to be likable if you just I worked for a company where the guy forced a 3-ring binder full of data at every single listing appointment. If you think that was going to get a listing, you're out of your gourd. People are just bored and tired and want you to go away. It says the number one, next thing is listen to your prospects. Well, of course you should listen to your prospects. Of course. It says, take your time with the market analysis. Well, I don't even understand why you wouldn't. You're on the hook for that price. If you say like, I think it'll sell for this, it better sell pretty close to that price. It says if you want if your prospects want to discuss your commission, be polite. I'm good with that. It says ask how and when they wish to communicate, then respect their wishes. This is something that is very awkward in my business. Certain agents of a certain age have never been in a situation where they aren't online. Some of my sellers are in their 80s. Okay. They don't do email. They don't do DocuSign. They aren't going to do it. They don't care. If you want to do business with them, you will go to their house and you will get the signatures online or at the time that you're there, never online. If you want them to get information, you will call them. You will not email them and you will not text them because that will do no good. I often get made fun of when I go, when I talk to people, I'll say, is it okay if I text you? And some of them are like, well, yeah, obviously. I mean, who wouldn't text? And it's like, well, you just don't know. You just don't know. One of the things that I have problems with in my own business is I have a distinction in my mind between email and text. I prefer to have anything like information related in my email so that I can quickly find it. And when I get a text, it needs to be like, I can just answer the text. It's just me answering. It's not me recalling information or pulling up information in my text. I hate that. I wouldn't be very good at that at all. So let's say, for instance, someone texts me and says, I'd like to look at this house, please. Well, then I will have to keep that text there, go to my computer, pull the listing, see when it's showing, schedule the listing. Totally good. Totally good. But it's gotten to the point where people will send me documents online, or they'll send me documents through my text. And now I got to take it off my text and I got to put it in my email or print it off. And it just, anyway, I agree with this. Younger agents aren't going to believe it. Ask how and when they wish to communicate, then respect their wishes. The other thing is like, I like to know when people are working. I like to know when people are off. I had a client just last month. She worked hard and she was always on the phone until 6 p.m. Well, I'm not going to sit there and text her. I'm not going to call her. I'm not going to do anything until after 6 p.m. I'm going to respect her boundaries. That's just the way it is. It says, don't assume anything. You should never assume anything. It doesn't matter. Anything in life, don't assume anything. Really. I mean, if there's one thing that you should have learned by now, it's don't assume anything. Send a thank you note after the listing presentation. I do. I send a thank you note. And there may be some listings you simply don't want, and that's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. You need to be on your listing appointments. You need to be finding out if you really want to work with that person or not. Is there something about them that you don't like, that you don't want to work, that you don't want to work with? That's true. So I think we did a good job with that. Let's go into something that I really, I've really not covered very well. And we might have some fun with it. We might go and study some other things as well. So did you see this? It says reality TV stars Todd and Julie Chrisley. I'm guessing that's how they pronounce their last name. I didn't know they're stars. I just didn't know it. They said convicted of fraud and tax evasion. And I just wanted to go over it. It says realty TV stars. Now, it's odd to me that you're famous for being on TV, like just a realty TV. Todd and Julie Chrisley have been found guilty of tax evasion. The Justice Department announced on Tuesday their accountant was also found guilty of a number of tax crimes. Now, I suspect that they were given shows because they were had a magnetic personality. They were like a freak show and people watched them. That's what I'm guessing, because that's what most of reality TV is. Before the couple's show, Chrisley Knows Best began in 2014. They conspired to defraud community banks in the Atlanta area to obtain more than $30 million in personal loans, according to the U.S. Attorney Ryan Buchanan. The Chrisleys and their former business partner submitted false documents to obtain millions of dollars in fraudulent loans and then spent the money on cars, clothes, real estate, and travel. That's what everyone will spend a lot of money on. They used new loans to pay back the old ones. That's a little dicey. That's gonna catch up with you at some point in time. It says Todd Chrisley then filed for bankruptcy and was able to walk away from more than $20 million of the loans. which I think is great. I think it's great. Some of you may know that I have a degree in real estate and construction management from the University of Denver. I would like nothing more than to be able to develop property in the St. Louis area. Unfortunately, I have no money behind me. Zero money behind me. And when I do go to get a loan from the bank, should I go there, they will have me I will have to personally guarantee my loan. So if something were to go under, they can come at my personal assets, which defeats the whole purpose of having an LLC. Okay? This guy can go and get $30 million, declare bankruptcy, and then walk away from $20 million and not have to pay it. And it just makes you sick, because I feel like I'm in a bad spot because I'm not allowed to do what I want to do. I'm not able to do what I want to do. And this person is. Just so you know, like, real estate development is all about capital preservation. I mean, you want to spend the least amount of money possible and get the best results. Now, that's not any different than any other business, but if you let your development costs skyrocket, you won't make any money on the development. So anyway, that's just where it is. The Chrisleys were operating on a loan-out company, which are usually used by entertainment professionals and earn money from their show and other entertainment venues. Now, I don't know what a loan-out company is, and I want to, I'm going to go here and I'm going to ask. A loan-out company, terms short-term employment. Oh, I'm sorry. It says, this is a common scenario with a loan-out company. Tom is a talented actor. He's a short-term employee of various production companies on film, television, and other commercial acting gigs. He's accustomed to being paid as an employee. All his wages are subject to self-employment tax. Because Tom makes more than $100,000 a year acting, he could benefit from forming a new company. The company would loan out his acting services to the production companies for which he works. This one-person company arrangement for the personal services of its owner is called a loan-out company. By having his own business, he is eligible to make an S selection with a corporation or limited liability company to reduce up to half his self-employment taxes for the Social Security portion, potentially saving him thousands of dollars a year. This can be done by paying out half the profit after deductible benefits and expenses as salary, subject to the combined 15.3% Medicare and Social Security contributions, and taking out the other half of the profit as a subchapter S dividend, not subject to the 12.4% Social Security contributions. Outside the entertainment industry, the same arrangement can benefit other workers. This includes who work a series or short-term employment engagements like consultants. So it's a way to get out of paying some tax. It's a tax deferment, a tax shelter, if you will. Checking something. Okay. So I don't really need to go into more of that. We're going to continue here. It says, when the IRS asked for information about their bank accounts, they transferred their loan-out company's corporate account to Chrisley's mother in an effort to hide from the IRS, even though he was still operating the loan-out company behind the scenes. You're already making an effort to avoid paying taxes. Now you're just getting out of hand. It says, I'm going to pause that just in case. I don't want a copyright violation. It says the Chrisleys failed to file tax returns or pay any taxes in the 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016 tax years. Now you got $20 or $30 million in loan and you didn't pay taxes. That's not good. It says when speaking on a radio show, Todd Chrisley claimed he paid $750,000 to $1 million in federal income taxes every year. However, he hadn't paid in years. I don't know that matters. Like, it doesn't matter. There's no because you're on a radio show and you say you've paid out this money, like, it doesn't make it true. And I don't know that it's really relevant to the story. I mean, basically he lied. He's already going to jail or being fined because he lied. So I don't really see that as important. It says the couple's accountant was found guilty of conspiring to defraud the IRS and filing 2 false corporate tax returns on behalf of the Chrisley's company. Now that's a little dicey. Why would you get your accountant involved? That's not a good thing. Now you have to wonder, did the accountant know what was going on? You know, obviously they've got evidence that that indicates he did. It says, on those tax returns, he falsely claimed that their company earned no money and made no distributions in 2015 and 2016. So that's not good. It says, Julie Chrisley, I don't know, is that the, okay, yes, also manufactured financial documents and lied to real estate agents to obtain a luxury rental house in Los Angeles, California. The family did not pay rent and they were evicted. Julie Chrisley was found guilty of wire fraud. Now, I remember a story that I probably read where an agent was embarrassed because they had let someone with no money move into this house, and then to get them evicted this was a different person. They were chronic. They had done it like 4 different times. Look, if you're going to be a leasing agent, like learn the business. Learn the business. If you're going to lease out, like I'm not in property management anymore. I don't deal with leases, but I knew a lot about them at the time. I knew the tricks, and there's some ways that like you can easily spot some what I would say fraud. This was a little bit different in that she manufactured financial documents. But what's interesting, it says it says, and lied to real estate agents to obtain a luxury rental house, which is funny to me because it's like, that means you lied to your agent and the listing agent. So you lied to 2 agents, I guess. It's interesting. Julie Chrisley was found guilty of wire fraud. She was also found guilty of obstruction of justice because after learning about a grand jury investigation, she submitted a fraudulent document to make it appear that they had not lied to the bank when they transferred ownership of the loan out company's bank account to Chrisley's mother. I don't know what that means. She submitted a fraudulent document to make it appear they had not lied to the bank. Sentencing for the Chrisleys and Tarantino is scheduled for October 6, 2022. As this is what I love, because this is I don't trust the FBI. I don't trust the government. I don't trust big tech. None of these people are my friends. Okay. In any way, it says, as today's outcome shows, when you lie, cheat, and steal, justice is blind as to your fame, your fortune, and your position. 100% not true, said Carrie Farley, special agent in charge of the FBI Atlanta. In the end, when driven by greed, the verdict of guilty on all counts for these 3 defendants proves once again that financial crimes do not pay. Well, they paid. Those people in that time had a better life than I might ever have in mine. It paid them very well. They had things that I will never, ever have. And you're going to tell me that crime doesn't pay? That's where I'm going to leave it today. On that positive note, what do you think? Am I wrong? Am I wrong with anything I'm saying? I had somebody write, I mean, we've only got a little bit of time left, with all the time we need. I had someone write twice on one of my comments on one of my podcasts that I also put on YouTube this morning. They said that the article was fired as a real estate agent or something like that. The episode that I did, and someone wrote in the comments that, like, you have to admit some real estate agents are terrible. Clearly, they hadn't watched the show or hadn't listened to the podcast, because I've never said that real estate, like, look, let's go with the 80-20 rule, that 20% of the agents are going to do all the business. And that is true, but there's a reason that they're going to do all the business, because they're probably good agents. We talk about the definition of an agent. That doesn't go very well sometimes. I still don't know what a good agent is. Couldn't tell you. But anyway, they didn't even watch the thing, and they just commented on it. So look, if you've made it this far into my episode, congratulations. I think that you should consider subscribing to the live stream at this point. I mean, you're an hour and 20 minutes in. Like, I mean, maybe you're watching this as a train wreck, but maybe you're enjoying it. And if you are, you should probably hit the subscribe button. It costs you nothing. And it helps me out tremendously. Because if I can tell people that I have 15 subscribers on my YouTube channel, that's really good. That's better than the 14 I currently have. Now you may say, well, John, you're just joking. The best YouTubers have millions of followers. That's 100% true. I don't ever think I'm going to be the best of the best YouTube live streamer. I mean, come on. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. So, I'll be happy with 15. I'll be happy with 20. If I get 20, I want 25. Well, always want more, but still, you can contribute to that. You should go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I would appreciate it. I'll probably give you a shout out on the live stream, thanking you for subscribing. You obviously have to see the live stream first to know that it even exists. But anyway, thank you for watching. I'll probably see you tomorrow. Until then, later.